as a woman, something like that. Anyways, Wendy, let me hand it over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, and with that said, considering I've really had only about 72 hours underneath my belt, like Rodrigo said, we're learning as we go. So I have a little anxiety about that. I'm the kind of person that likes to know everything yesterday, have everything done yesterday. But yeah, learning every time I talk to someone different in the movement, or watch a different video, or get on a different call, I learn more and more. So it's pretty exciting to kind of be in the beginning stages with everybody.
Fantastic, Wendy. Welcome aboard. It was really great to see you join that, not just because you're clearly awesome and people want to follow you anywhere, sight unseen, clearly, but also the fact that we definitely need to water down all the testosterone in the management team. So this is going to be good, guys. We're gonna have to keep ourselves in check, and it's always, in my past, that's always been a good thing. It's never been a bad thing. So. Thank you for being here, Wendy. Thanks for jumping in, and hitting us up running. All right, folks. So we really have two things left to the agenda, and we want to spend most of the time focused on this phase. So, needless to point out, this is where the rubber hits the road, right? You're going to see, sadly, a certain number of us. Hopefully, that number is 0. A certain number of folks not accomplish anything. Look, sadly, it's way easier to put in a credit card and pay $600 for a big opportunity than it is to actually pick up the phone, get off our butts, and start charging forward, right? And so this is it. And so my personal agenda is to try to figure out how to get the number of people that don't charge forward to 0, right? And so let's get us all to succeed. This is our week. Sign up 25 merchants, and after that, it's all about the students doing all that work. And so really, you need to be an expert by Monday this time, or else you're going to go into the activation week and the next phase, and then the next phase after that, which we're very busy working on right now, sort of with one toe in a different phase and another toe over there, and it's going to be a frustrating thing for you. If there's anything you hear from me today, it's that you want to be done with this phase before the weekend. So. On that note, are you on track to sign up your first 25 merchants? Is there anything unclear about the process, and is there anything we can do to help? That's going to be the bulk of this agenda today. After that, we'll talk about the zone managers and what you want from them. I want to make sure they hear your feedback, because after this call, we're going into our very first zone manager call, and that's where we're going to take all your feedback and the questions that you want them to resolve for you, because their job is to serve you, right? And so we want guidance on how best to serve you there. We'll do that in the last 10 minutes. So right now we've got about 40 minutes to talk about this. So on that note, the floor is yours. Who has questions or comments? Who's got some experience signing up merchants that they want to share what worked or what didn't work?
I have a question, Mike.
Hey, Matt.
So I only have a little bit of experience with this so far. I've made 2 calls. One is set up for next week, and the other one didn't. And the one who didn't, we ended it on a positive note, and he said, I'd like to talk to you when this is more established. But where I felt like I was really in a corner is when he was asking more and more questions. And I know it's important to try to take control of the conversation. In this case, I think he was just that ultra skeptical personality. I don't know what his life experience has been, but just saying, I would like to sit down with you and talk about free advertising. He just wasn't having it. But where he stumped me is he said, so how do you know what the kids buy? And I said, there's an app. And he said, what's the app called? My answer was Movement, because I don't know what it's called. And I was cornered. Do you have a good answer for that?
Yeah. So my gut, Matt, and that's all it is that since it was one of your first 2 calls, you're human, and you'd be an idiot not to go into those first calls with 100% confidence that you know what you're doing. And hence, he smelled that on you, right?
Probably.
Right? And so that's what happened, right? You were not able to take charge of the conversation, and there's nothing you did wrong. It's just a matter of getting in there and getting more like the other one that you signed up and get that confidence, and then they'll sense that confidence from you. Because listen, when you're going in with the UCLA Cares, right, and the implication that has, and there's no question on what's the app. We run a network of sites, and we reach students in different ways. Boom, change the subject, right? Like, you're asking too many questions, guy. I'm on a tight leash. I'm giving you free ads. You don't get to start drilling down like that. And when you do, I have good answers for you. So I feel like the confidence that comes from having signed up a bunch of merchants, I think they're going to sense that and then quickly make a mental decision that I can give this guy hell, or I could lose him now and I'm off this academic calendar thing he's talking about with all the students and all that. I don't want to risk that. So again, there's no cost to this. No cost. Great. Yeah, sure. 15% off. Done. Right? So it's that confidence that will come after you sign up 2, 3, 4 of these. And the whole approach with the UCLA Cares basically gives you that sort of moral authority that one of me, many of you, I'm not making money from this. Give us your discount, or, let's talk next year. You got a lot of questions? No problem. We really don't have a lot of time, unfortunately, because of the academic year ending. How about this? How about the year 2022? How about I put you on that? Unless you want to do it now. And then I think they make a decision. I got nothing to lose here. Why am I doing this? And boom, they give you the discount and you move on. So that's my opinion as to what happened.
Is the discount range higher, or whether it's higher or not, does that matter? On our end, like, is there a range that needs to be at least 10 but can't go above 20, 25? If it's a higher percentage, is that better for us or them, or how does that work?
Great. Yeah, so James, there's some verbiage about that in the script. Is that correct, Brian? Is that where the right verbiage about this stuff is? Like, if they give you—
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Hey, Mike, I was just going to throw that in there, that there are probably some people on the call right now who still are a little unclear as to like where to find those scripts and where the systems are put in. So since you have the screen share, before you take, more Q&A, do you want to just do a very quick review of the getstarted.college site, where to go, where to find this stuff to kind of catch some people up who might be a little bit behind some others? You're muted, Mike. You're muted.
Sorry about that. Brian, are you recording the call? Someone's got that question for me here.
Yeah, I'm recording the call.
Okay, excellent. So Don's point was that there's probably people on the call who haven't read the script. And so I'm not sure what to do about that because, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, the script has been sent to everyone. The only people that, like I said in orientation to everyone, first of all, if you're not coming to these calls, you will be missing information and you'll be lost. And I'm not going to really stop and reiterate stuff because I'm taking up everyone's time who is on these calls. And so if you can't make the calls, watch the video, because that's the next best thing, that you're on the call in essence. And so if you were on last call, you'll know that there's a script. And if you're brand new, we sent that to you as well. Brian, yay or nay on that?
Yay.
Okay. So folks, listen, we are very busy here trying to get ready with the whole social network. And it's a very complex thing. And that's why we've been in this rush to build the team, build the management team, have you guys basically elect your leaders in essence. But we just don't have the bandwidth to babysit anyone. Does that make sense? So one of the things you're going to see, for example, when we talk about what guidance you want to give the zone managers, and this is going to be the last slide that we'll talk about at 10 after, is, you see that number 2, when does a division manager spot open up? It's also a clever way of asking, when do we pretty much consider someone not to be a division manager? They could stay on the call for a while or something, but we're going to consider that spot opened up and let someone else in, because not everyone's going to perform. And so I don't know, I'm struggling for the most polite way to say this, which is next week, the people that are not moving forward, it's, don't be looking at us, because what we're saying here is, is anything unclear? Is there something we can do to help? If you're not attending the calls, or if you know someone that's not attending the call and they're not watching the videos and they show up to these calls asking questions that have already been discussed, I don't know how the zone managers want to run their teams. And I'm sure they'll be a lot more patient because they'll have less people on on the calls, but I'm very cognizant of the fact there's a lot of people here and I don't want to waste their time. And so, Don, let me know if I'm, way off base here from what your point is, but I don't want to go rehash the
Got
lesson.
it.
Don Hill?
Yeah, no, that's good. I wasn't even sure like what you might have covered with the people that just went through orientation on Saturday. So if you already went through getstarted.college, then my point is mute. So I know there was some people that are new and whether or not they even know what getstarted.college is.
Yeah.
Yeah, just real quick, I posted in the chat. Everyone has this, but just in case it's not clear, like Don said, on our Slack channel, I have everything related to training, all the links that you need. I just put that in the chat here, so go to that if you don't have it for whatever reason.
You guys, and by the way, one of the discussion points is going to be how do you want these calls to happen from now on? Is it just the zone managers? Do you even want to see Brian and I at all? Obviously, we break into 8 different zone manager meetings and calls. We won't be able to do all of them, right? And so this is just, again, I'm planting a seed. We'll talk about that in the zone manager part of this call. But look at the people on this call. There's 38 people right now on this call. There's about 80 people that have signed up. So something is, and it's the 80-20 rule. It's the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of the people will get 80% of the results. The other 80% are not going to get, they're going to get 20% of the results. And in my experience, having done stuff like this, like you guys have for a long time, the other 80% will also take up a lot of the airtime and, throw, things at us and say, let's see if I say jump, if Mike or Brian will say how high. And the truth is we won't say how high. We're going to get very focused on the 20% that are serious about this. And then politely, quietly, respectfully, try to nudge the other 80% out the door so that we can focus on people that are serious about this. And people have a lot of balls in the air. They may not be serious about this. It's nothing personal. It's just we don't have the bandwidth to do it. So enough on that topic. I just want to make sure you guys understand if we come off in a certain way. For example, there's a lot of pressure coming for you guys to end these calls in an hour, right? And so you're going to see me taking a different tack now in order to live up to your request on that. Pushback, anything about any of that, folks? Okay.
Hey, Mike, I have a question.
James, real quick, just to go back to James' point. James, I don't think that was related to you. That was related to Don's point of let's go through the training all over again.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I just was asking a very simple question about like 10 to 15%. Is it better for us to have a higher percentage? And it could have just been like, yeah, it's better that you guys get the people, the merchants, to offer a higher percentage. It's better for both. It would have been just easier to say that versus.
I think that's Brian's point. None of that was about you and what you said. All of that was you basically allowing me to transition to a subject I wanted to bring up. And
Okay.
I think that's going to be a theme that's going to happen a lot where people don't take it personally. I'm trying to talk to everyone about something and you just allowed me to. Yeah, none of that was about you, James. Zero.
Hey,
Yeah, hey, Patrick.
Hey, I had a question. I know right now with the consumables we're ordering and the stickers and the little display cards, they say the higher education discount. I know that appeals to the students. But as
Let me
we
just get my headphones so you guys don't have to listen.
once we go into the next phase where we open up for everyone, will we still be using that same sticker and display, or will we have a new sticker and display that we'll need to purchase? And other than the educational discount.
Okay, I think I understand the question, Patrick. You're saying when we open it up to non-students,
Correct.
will we change the stickers or what will happen then?
Correct.
Yeah, so our gut is right now, Patrick, the stickers just remain, right? In other words, we get the merchant's permission, like, hey, you want more business, right? We're also opening up the platform, is that okay? And then everyone else just starts to know that they get to benefit from the educational, discount. And by the way, that's why we went against what most people call this stuff, which is student discounts. We're calling it educational discount to kind of be this umbrella of, first of all, staff and faculty from the university can be part of it. And then eventually, hey, listen, we're all in the long-term, educational process. And so then that umbrella sort of falls on everyone. That's the thinking behind a weird word set of words, educational discount instead of just student discount.
Love it. If we ain't growing, we're dying, right? We should always be learning. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Mike,
Hey, Scott.
kind of to dovetail what I think Matt was saying about an example that we could use if it's, even if it's a beta app, a beta version of the Movement app. I think, and I haven't been in front of a merchant yet, but you know, I would think that would be an important thing in our toolbox to have. You know, if it's just a sample of a beta or whatever, if we have that, I apologize for the question, but just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, definitely. And by the way, some of you folks have been asking for Brian to kind of put together like a actual video walkthrough of the social product. And so if you want to see that, it was just uploaded at the top of movement.college/product. You know, that very first video at the top. If you go watch that now, it now includes an actual video walkthrough of the social product, which in the past we tried to limit you know, the discussion there to keep that thing shorter. So there's a video walkthrough of it in there, Scott. But I got to tell you, this is going to be something we're going to have a good laugh about, I think, in a week or two. And it goes like this. If you open up Pandora's box, if you let them in and if you entertain that type of question by getting off script, all you're going to do is open up Pandora's box, right? Anyone that was on orientation on Saturday knows what I'm talking about. When the discussion went, you know, down further and further and further. Well, then what happens? How do transporters get paid? And what's that based on? Is it based on miles or time of day? If it's time of day, then what? Oh, so what happens? It's just like, whoa, we just really need to cut that thing off, because every role, every aspect of earning within the platform is very algorithmic. There's a lot of moving parts to it. And to the degree that we do the mistake that I always do, I'm continuing to do it, by the way, as you guys might know, where my problem is I love those conversations because I spent years thinking through, that's my baby. You want to talk about my baby? I'm going to, you know, I'll go with you on that. But the problem is the more questions like that we answer, the more it just opens up Pandora's box, and you're going to have to become, you know, have a PhD in the system before you feel comfortable in answering all those. So the answer, which is in the FAQs and in the script, when they say, well, how are you going to get me students? You know, there's an answer there. And it's like, you know, where do you get the traffic from? Where do you get the students from? Remember, when you're going in with that sort of UCLA Cares, there's an implication there that, that you've got these students. And the answer, we run a network of websites and web pages, and I don't know the exact words, but it goes like that, which basically says, you know, end the topic. It's a network and by the way, everything I just said there is true. You're not saying anything to them that's not true, but it is a network of web pages and websites. When you think about the profile and all the other things that are connected to each other, it's a network of little web pages, right? And so you need to say that and end the topic. If you entertain them, if you make the mistake at that juncture of trying to go with that, you're going to find yourself in a bad spot, because it's Pandora's box and you've lost control of the conversation. Does that make sense? Remember, I don't know, I know not everyone was at the meeting last week because, you know, not everyone had joined yet. But part of the magic here with this UCLA or whatever your school abbreviation is, Cares, is to end all those conversations so that the student can get in and get out fast. In this case, you're acting like the student, with minimal, you know, going down Pandora's box and finding yourself 3 hours later with, wow, this is a lot, let me think about it and what have you. There's nothing to think about. And so we got to control that conversation in the way the script and the FAQs attempt to get us to do.
Hey, Mike, quick question for you. That doesn't seem to be on the frequently asked questions of just the call script. And that's just if they ask you, okay, so you're providing a discount to the students from us. You don't charge us anything to do so. Just the question might come up, okay, so how are you guys making income from this as a business? And I don't see that on there. So I'm just wondering what you recommend if that comes up.
Yeah, definitely. So Brian, can you remind me what the answer is for that question? How do you make money? Again, the spirit of it, Matt, and then we'll get to Brian here. The spirit of it is you don't ask that question with the implication that's being made here. Does that make sense? If you're coming in because you're, trying to help them out as part of the university community, you're part of that university community. You don't really ask, it's not a question they should be asking. How do you guys make money? Well, Brian, how have we handled that question?
I'm trying to think. Nothing's coming to mind right now.
See, Matt, let me kind of talk about the spirit of what we're doing here. When you approach it in the way that the spirit of this thing is, some of those questions don't really make sense. So it's when you're coming off to them like yet another media vehicle, private company, it's then that those kinds of questions spiral out of control. Does that make sense? So the approach with just the first 25 merchants for you guys is to get in there with the whole approach. It creates an implication and a spirit that puts all those questions to bed, including the one you just brought up.
Well, let's say worst case scenario, it doesn't put it to bed, Mike. What would you say? Okay, I can appreciate where you're coming from, and I get.
I'll throw in my
script.
Some of the other more experienced folks there. So how do we make money? We have other revenue streams that, from the students, from transactions, not from merchants, but from students within the overall program. I like to call it a program. And a number of other revenue streams. But see, I worry with that in general, in that I'm trying not to compete with the other, little, publication or website out there that's you see where I'm going with this, Matt? Maybe someone else can jump in and handle that. When you walk in with the UCLA Cares and you control the conversation, it's not something they ask. How do you guys make money? You say from these users that were students we're going to be bringing you, we don't make money. We don't make money from that.
I think the way that we've kind of hit that before is very similar to what you just said, Mike, where, we run a network of websites and web pages to the college students, and we have, other ways of generating income. This is purely a service that we're extending to our customers and helping the community, basically.
Tie it back. This is just something we're doing to help you guys out, especially with
and the students.
One thing I'd like to add real quick too is just that I think we want to avoid like the idea of dealing in hypotheticals on these calls. And the goal at hand, at least now in my understanding, is does everybody have a clear understanding of how we go about signing up the first 25 merchants? Like, do you feel comfortable with where the scripts are, that they're organized? Like you have all the resources you feel like you need? Has everybody already ordered their consumables? If you haven't, do you know what you need? Do you know where to find it? Just that checklist concept of course, on future calls, we will dive in as we dive in together as a group. Like, hey, this objection actually came up. Like Matt brought up earlier, I thought it was a very smart question. He started making some calls. He had one scenario where he felt a little uncomfortable and how to handle it. And so, his question was based on reality, right? Something he actually dealt with, not on hypotheticals of what if or what they might say or what we think they're going to say. Of course, as a professional salesperson, we always want to be thinking in advance. But at the same time, we also all are very well skilled on the art of deflection, right? If we need to be. And the reality is that we do know that there's various ways that this platform can generate income. So I feel like the answer that Brian just gave is one that I would also lean on if I was asked that question. But I just wanted to reiterate, like the art of this call right now, like the process of this is, do we just feel like we're on track with understanding where we need to go from here? And does everybody feel aligned with the concept of, all right, we're going to try to get our first 25 merchants agreeing to be signed up? And I would think as long as our questions and the spirit behind them are geared towards that particular objective, not on hypotheticals versus, when we most of us probably haven't even made our first call yet. I think that can definitely ruin the overall spirit of the objective of the meeting today. So maybe I'm just way off, but that's kind of the thought process that I have.
It makes sense, Don, because there's probably an unlimited number of hypothetical things that can come up. Not that what Matt brought up there isn't going to come up at some point, but I can tell. Let me, for the newest folks, remind you that with non-salespeople that have no idea about what Don just said, what the hell are you talking about when you say deflection or any sales terms, right? They have signed up thousands of merchants. So, and maybe their only power in this is they know less than you, and so they just followed the script and they understood the spirit of how they're going in, especially for those first few merchants. And so I do agree with Don that if we want to chase the hypotheticals, there'll be no end in sight.
That's fair, guys, and you did provide the answer. That's great. Appreciate you providing it.
Thanks, Matt.
So moving forward with that, did make about 35, 37 calls, somewhere around there, had 8 or 9 conversations. A lot of them just didn't answer, but the ones that did, it was pretty interesting. Some were very straightforward. Yes, I'd like to move forward. Just need to talk to the owners. When is the owner meeting? Looks like it's on Monday. And so how would you handle that objection in terms of talking with the owners? Is that something that we can try to push for and just say, this isn't too big of a deal, it's only, a small discount? Or I would assume that there's a need to be involved in that, right? So you just set up a meeting and a follow-up for after the owner call?
Yeah, Michael, I know what I would say, Michael, and Mike can jump in if he wants, is I would want to talk to ideally that owner. That's the person that I'm going to want to eventually build the relationship with anyway. So I would find out whoever I'm talking to, like I would ask, oh, what's the best time for me to reach that owner? Do you have his direct number? Do you have his email? I would try to get that contact information and then do everything in my power to talk to or reach out to that owner, directly in order to schedule something. That's how I would approach it.
Yeah, just to kind of quick, I dealt with this a lot in my current job actually, and something I think is helpful when you're talking to people that are decision makers but can't make the final decision maker is trying to actually get in on that call, right? And saying, hey, if you're going to talk to your owner about this, I'd love to be involved with that, because he's probably going to have a bunch of questions you don't have the answers to, and you're going to want to make sure you make the most educated and best decision for the company. So is there a way for me to actually take part in that conversation so I can answer all those questions so you guys can go ahead and make the best decision? Otherwise, he's going to hit you with a bunch of questions. I'm going to follow back up with you, answer those questions. You're going to talk to the owner again, and you're going to end up in this cycle where we can do everything more efficiently and effective, if we just all hop on a quick call. So what time is that call on Monday that we can hop on together and get those questions answered for you?
Smart.
Yeah, that makes sense. The way I saw it was I would get the owner involved once the activation happened and start building that relationship. But doing that from the get-go makes a lot of sense. As for next questions, so I did have a couple of people who said, yep, sounds great. Let's shoot for 20 or 25%. And then I wasn't sure how to quite actually sign them up. So I basically said, congratulations, welcome. I'll send you a follow-up email and so forth. But when I went to the CRM, I didn't see a place in there to enter in their information.
Yeah, so Michael, when you log into the CRM, at the very top right, there's a add merchant button. You just click on that, and then all the details that you need to enter in there for the merchant, you just fill it out and then save it. There's on the training page, there's a 2 or 3 minute tutorial video I put together that walks through that whole step-by-step process.
Gotcha. Must have missed that video, but yeah, I was also on mobile doing that. So maybe it wasn't on mobile. If we can check that.
Definitely should be there, but yeah, we'll double check.
Interesting. Yeah, it's been a little time trying to find that, but I'll definitely watch that video. I appreciate it.
Okay.
I have it downloaded as on my phone. You guys probably can't see with my backdrop here. I'm hanging out in the beaches, but I have the Movement app on my desktop. So when I click that Movement, it's not the app, obviously. It's the same web portal, but you can save it as a desktop app, as we all know. The first button at the top of my screen says Add Merchant. It's a big green button. So that is mobile. Hopefully everybody can see that. And you can click Add Merchant. And when you do, it asks you for the business name, their description, their phone number, their location. It walks all the way through. You can add their logo, and then you click Submit, and that's how you would add a merchant. Hopefully, everybody has access to that.
Nice.
Hey, Brian, quick question. Going on to the CRM site. Every time I've gone on there, I've had to go back to your initial email and copy the randomized password because I can't find anywhere in here where you can change your password once you've logged on the first time. I think that would probably be useful for everybody to either know where it is or to have it added.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's on like to request a new password, it's on the sign in page, but it sounds like since you're already signed in, you're obviously not going to that page. Let me just add the direct link to the forgot password link to like the training, so that way it's easy for everyone to find.
Today I clicked the forgot password link and it said we sent you an email, but it was about 4 hours ago and I haven't received an email. I did it 3 times to try to make sure. So I don't know if that's a one-off or what, but I haven't been able to get in.
I don't know if
find out.
maybe I'm the only one, but in case I'm the only one who saw forgot password, I actually didn't forget my password. I just wanted to change it and I didn't make the connection. So if there's more people like me, that might be helpful to have a change password button specifically in there somewhere.
Makes sense. Yeah, let me see about that, Matt. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, I think I'm unmuted. Hey, Brian, I have a question for you on the CRM input. I've been putting, I've got 4 interested merchants and I was trying to put them in and had some issues. It seems like every time I put, maybe the address is wrong slightly or the image didn't upload properly. And I didn't know if you could create it to where we could input them in. And if there's 1 or 2 things missing, we can go back later and change it or update it when we get that info. Or if anyone else is having that issue, but it seems to be a little bit tough to get all the info, you know, without getting a red image at the top that says you have this wrong or this wrong.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw my response over the weekend, David, and yours, you were trying to save a logo file type that we didn't support. That should be fixed now. I emailed you,
Okay.
I think, on Sunday.
I just had some issues with the address too, but maybe it's just me. So I'll work on it a little bit and see if I can get it straightened out.
Well, just to touch on that. Yeah, right now, all the fields are, except for like notes at the end, are required. So what I'm hearing from you is we can make those optional. So that way, you know, if you just only have a couple pieces of information, we don't want to block you from at least adding it. So that's pretty easy for us to change. We can do that.
Cool. Thanks.
Where is the
sorry, a quick note on the failing in. I wanted to try and see how well emails could potentially work. Obviously, we had the issue last conversation about how the CARES email was going to spam. So I tried actually with my personal email just to see if it'd be different. We're gonna have to call. Calling is definitely going to be the way to go. If anyone else was like me and potentially thinking maybe just send a bunch of emails at night, you're gonna have to do the hard work. So if anyone's thinking that way, don't. That's not gonna work. So
and Joe, Facebook message helped me a little bit more than email did. So just try that first if you're already called them. So.
Where do we get the merchant laminate? I see the stickers and I see everything except the thing that we print and like use to explain signing up or activating.
Yeah, so we'll get you that for you guys when we do the activation training on next Monday.
Okay.
All right, folks. Any, by the way, to be very, very clear here, if you haven't ordered your consumables, you're going to have a real tough time in the next phase because it takes a while to get those. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, please reach out to us. Steve, I see you waving.
I was going to add something about that. I spent a good amount of time Friday ordering for 6 of us that are in the Indiana area. And one of the vendor for the plastic sign holders had sold out, and one of you, I can't remember who, sorry, had mentioned that in Slack, so thanks for the update on that. I got some from Leadbox, but they actually ran out of plastic and they're waiting to get more. So they make them themselves, but they have to get the plastic first. So they've been ordered. I ordered them Friday, and they're going to take about 11 days or so to receive. So it's really just a story about just get on top of it, get it ordered, and as much as you can, get in with somebody, because if you're just going to order for 25 merchants, it's going to cost you over $6 per merchant. But if you can get anything more than 100 or 200 or more, then you're going to, I see Matt Westland already has his printed there. So nice work, Matt. But it's only going to cost about $3 per merchant if you can either order more in bulk for yourself or get together with some other managers and drive the 2 or 3 hours to go pick them up or whatever. So, but get on it. That's all. If anybody has any questions, I dove into the numbers and the rates and everything pretty heavy. If anybody wants to ask anything, I'd be happy to help out as much as I can.
Hey, by the way, good news on that point. I can't help with the plastic sign holders, but with the stickers, I was able to get mine the same day I ordered them. I put all the information in Slack from Dave at Smart Signs. He can ship anywhere in the United States, and he's charging $1.75 per sticker, which is the same rate that Sticker Mule is charging for 100 or more. And the minimum he's asking for is 25. And then the cost Sticker Mule has for 25, I think, is like $3 or more per sticker. So you can still get them in time if you order them right now. He'll ship them out to you.
Yeah, I'd like that as a resource. Can you send that out again? I know it's
it's in Slack under I think it's under merchants.
Hey, Matt, one other thing real quick. If you're doing the stickers for each side of the window, if they're $1.75 a piece, obviously that starts to add up fairly quickly. We're now looking at $3.50 just on stickers there for that. For what this is worth, I've got a buddy that I used to share an office with that I had him quote these. They're actually double-sided vinyl clings cut with rounded corners, because he was saying that when the cleaning people come in and start spraying it and stuff like that, the corners will start to peel off if they're just rectangles and start to look kind of crappy. But these double-sided vinyl clings, I'm gonna have to purchase 1,000 of them, and but it's gonna be $3 a piece to be able to do that, and like I said, have them be nice vinyl and double-sided and not gonna mess up anybody's window tint or anything like that if they ever have to scrape them off. So like I said, I'm going to order 1,000 of those. If anybody wants to take some of those here, I would say please go ahead and shoot me a message, and I'll charge you whatever, I'm getting charged on those. And then if they if we mail them to you, again, I'm not going to mark up shipping or whatever. I'm happy to just send those out to you for whatever the actual shipping cost is on those things.
Hey, Bob, I'm just wondering, the double-sided cling, that's going to be a clear vinyl, right?
Well, no, it's a white background on that so that you can actually see it. You can actually read it on both sides then.
Okay, got it. So it's opaque.
That's my understanding. I haven't received them here just yet, but they should be coming in soon.
Thank you.
Bob, are you not worried about, I don't know, competitor or someone with being that it's a cling and it's not more permanent? I know you're concerned about maybe damaging the merchant's window, but we've never had that problem. Personally, I love permanence. If I'm going to be spending the money to buy those, I want that thing attached so it's hard to take off.
Well, I don't think it's real easy to take off. It just doesn't do any damage, is my understanding in talking to the guy. He's definitely knows the stuff when it comes to all kinds of stuff like that. Anything printed. I mean, he's kind of an expert on that stuff here, and he said that's definitely what he recommends.
True, but why would a sticker damage anything? Because if the intention is for it to be permanent, yeah. If the intention is for it to come off in a couple months, I would argue he's right in that the sticker's not going to come off easy. But you guys are spending the money. Don't you want that thing attached so that there's it's harder to in essence change someone's mind? That thing's permanent. You might as well leave it, Mr. or Mrs. Merchant, and I don't know. It just feels too easy to take off for something that you've spent money on.
I mean, some merchants go with a razor blade to take off, stickers and decals, but we don't want them to ever take it down. This is a long-term, relationship that costs them nothing. So I'm not too concerned about it. And and not to take anything away from what Bob's doing, because I've talked to Bob about it, trying to get the best deal for myself. But if you're doing 2 stickers, one on each side of the door, it's only going to cost you 52 cents per merchant compared to $1.75 or $3 per merchant. I wanted to get everything down to under $3 per merchant, including the flyers, and the plastic signs. That all just depends on where you're at, though, financially, and how much you want to put forth at the get-go here. But the 2 stickers is definitely way cheaper if you decide to go that route.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think his point was essentially just the hesitance from any of the merchants and putting those up on their windows. He said that, he's been in the printing industry for a long time, and that was one of the big concerns that he has gotten pushback from a lot of other businesses that were trying to get stickers put in the window for doing things similar to what, I guess somewhat similar to what we're doing anyway. And there was a huge amount of pushback that he got, or that they got, based on putting stickers on their window. Like, people don't want to put bumper stickers on their car. I don't know. That was just his feedback after his experience of doing that.
Yeah, it sounds
I
like
understand your point, Mike, of wanting it to be permanent.
It's a good data point, Bob, but just to add one more data point, Brian, please correct me if I'm wrong here. We have not received any resistance, in the 100,000 merchants we signed up on the first go around 20 years ago, and then the few thousand we signed up recently. We don't get resistance on putting those stickers up, because the minute their eyeball hits it, with 80 to 90% of the real estate being about how great they are, right? Brian, what are you hearing from the field?
I can't comment 20 years ago, but yeah, from the most recent time, no one's ever said that they've had any issues.
Okay.
Just one thing to add, since Matt, I know you're going off of the sticker mule pricing from before, we updated that last week, and the stickers are like 45 cents if you order 100 or more from you printing. So those are the instructions that I have on there now. So.
All right, folks. So we're 2 minutes behind the schedule that we wanted to be on. And so again, this is your chance, folks, to get out there and make it happen. I know it's hard to make those first couple of calls and you're unsure, and it's you guys know this. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but just knowing it doesn't change anything. It's still hard to do those first few calls. So, just force yourself to do it. And once you get a hang of it, you get on a roll, I promise you, you're going to have fun doing it, and they're going to go a lot more smoothly when you have that confidence that they can smell, that to them says, you know what you're doing, and there's no reason not to do this. And if they don't get on with you fast, there's no one else offering this. And so they better do exactly what you're saying to do, or forever hold their peace. And so once they sense that confidence from you, you're going to see it's smooth sailing. And that's exactly what we've experienced with 40 people in 15 countries who have no sales experience. Okay, so on that note, folks, I hope everyone here succeeds. And so let's talk about what you want from your leaders, because clearly, this is getting to be a large group, and it's very hard for everyone to be able to speak up and get the support they need. So can you
Mike, before we go into this real quick, can I just say one thing to the whole group? I just want you guys to know, I know some of you signed up on Saturday, maybe Friday or last Thursday, and you're just throwing into this, and you saw your friends and people from N2 doing this, or Cutco, and you're probably like, I still have no idea what's going on. Don't worry about it. Somebody like me, I've had a month and a half to look at this stuff and kind of figure it out. And so I feel like I know a lot. But a lot of the leaders are on this call are going to try to hold a call or reach out to you, kind of get you up to speed. We want to make sure we can serve you, but we want to make sure we can get you on the right track to getting out there and sign up the merchants quickly. So if you feel lost, it's okay. You're probably in a group of a lot of people, but just make sure you reach out to your leaders or the person who brought you in and just say, hey, what can we do to get up to speed? So just be resourceful that way. We'll get in contact. So, okay, go ahead, Mike.
Awesome, Rigo. I just love it every time you have anything to say. So thank you for that, Rigo. So folks, one of the things that we've decided so far, unless you all decide it needs to be differently, is that you get to choose who your zone manager is, right? And so the first step of this is please email us, Brian@movement.college, your first, second, and third choice for zone manager. The reason we ask for 3 is because the zone managers, the policies we've come up with so far are that zone managers can have 8 division managers, and division managers can have 8 district managers. And so in case everybody wants to report to a specific zone manager, then that's why we need your second and third choice. So please email Brian as fast as possible. If we've got to reach out to you later and ask again, you're probably going to have the one zone manager you want already booked up. So please do that. And by the way, in case you're wondering where this goes, the zone managers are going to decide some kind of approach to deciding who's going to be the president of sales and marketing. And so that's one of the topics they're going to be taking on. Some of the things we want to talk to you about. So what are the other topics you want them to discuss? Some of the ones that come to mind are on your screen right now, but would love to know if there's something that you want them to decide. The more feedback you give us right after this call, we're going to get together with them and they'll know what's on your mind.
Is that an open-ended question or is that a email Brian question?
Steve, you just said, is that an open-ended question? Yeah, it's an open-ended question. Just
For
email
right.
Brian with your choices for
Oh, I meant, okay, so we can discuss what,
Yeah.
that other question right now?
Exactly. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, Steve. I wasn't clear.
That's okay. I just think that for me, and I would think other people have the same question, we've discussed it a little bit over time, just about territories. Is it just going to be a free-for-all where you start with a school and then it's go from there and just go for it? Or do we want to actually draw some, boundaries or lines so we're not crossing paths too commonly or too frequently? I don't really know what the best answer is. My gut tells me we want to have some actual territory that's ours to work with, but I don't know if that's how everybody feels, but I think that should be discussed and figured out pretty quickly. Again, I mentioned this, that in Indianapolis, we just have so many people that I think we'd all care in what we're doing.
Yeah. So Steve, so currently the policy is, and I know you may know some of this, but for the benefit of the newbies, the policy is you pick your school or university, your first one, and the merchants within a 2-mile radius of that, that's your territory. Now there may be a conflict. There might be another university that's less than 2 miles away from a merchant and there's a conflict. And so our first suggestion there is try to work it out, try to find a way to work that out with the other person. But ultimately that's where the zone managers will start to come in and help, mediate those kinds of things. Now, as you guys know, and I hate saying this because I'm a numbers geek, it's an 80-20 rule will apply. And so you're already seeing that, right? There's 43 people on this call right now, but we got 80 people signed up. So someone, maybe they're watching the videos, we'll find out, but there's going to be people who grab the territory who are going to accomplish nothing. That's just the nature of the beast. And so you can start to see the benefits of that person not having, for example, secured a city, right? And part of one of the questions I think the zone managers have to figure out is when do we, let that person, when do we let that territory go to Steve Roach, who's actually in that area? And so I believe, Steve, if the 80-20 rule applies to your area, you're going to find a couple of schools that you might have wanted within a few weeks are yours because the person there isn't really moving. And so a lot will become clear, and the zone managers will be there to roll with the punches and make these decisions as we go.
Sounds good to me.
Mike, I have a suggestion for DMs to zone managers rather to meet about, and that is to accelerate the speed with starting now. I understand moving up until this point, we've been given information, kind of on a need to know basis. I mean, we're very specific as far as this is what we need to get done. We don't have to worry about all the future stuff right now. But I think that moving forward, as I talk to many different division managers within the crew who we all have a relationship already, based on their personality, some of them are just, very comfortable and willing to take it on faith and just charge forward and say everything's going to be fine. And then there's some other people who, you know, would really do so much for their confidence to say, well, this is actually the app. And this is like when we were in Cutco, we used to have an annual trip to the factory for the top performers, the top leaders, the managers. And we got to see every single detail of how they made that. Now, that being said, when we took that back to our offices, we didn't nitpick every little detail with every new applicant, how the edge is applied and how the high-speed buffing works. You know, we didn't get into that. But those leaders had so much confidence coming back from that event and so much enthusiasm that when they still covered that basic information, they did it with this super confidence backing it up. And I think that would just help our DVM team significantly if we could start moving in that direction.
Definitely. So Matt, the thing is, we gotta get rid of the assumption that all the next phases are well fleshed out and the training's in place and all this stuff's happened. For example, the phase after the activation, when we start reaching out to students, already the zone managers are starting to think about that and put together presentations. And, you know, I literally, and I'm not exaggerating, did not get a wink of sleep last night because I'm working on the calculator and the new business model, which, by the way, to plant a seed with you guys are going to love it when the e-commerce revenues are added to it. Because one, the revenues shoot up for you guys, but two, it's a really awesome opportunity for the college students. It's a real game changer for them. They can make some serious money supporting you guys with not too many merchants so that they can be really responsive to the merchants. So the merchants are going to benefit heavily. Anyways, I just wanted to get that out because it's been what I've been literally doing an all-nighter on. Matt, but think about this. Within a few weeks, all of the training will have already happened. And so the newbie coming in, the new DM, DVM, whoever, they'll be able to fast forward and check that stuff out all they want, right? Your task as a founder, literally, of this sales and marketing channel is being able to have that trust that, you know what, whatever it is, we'll figure it out. If it's not there, we're going to come up with it. We being you guys, all of us together. And so that's hence why for example, the coin opportunity is much greater for you guys and is going away for those people that can get in. It's proven, you know, it's all there. So does that make sense? So some of those mental hurdles that some folks, as you're mentioning, have a hard time doing unless they understand the whole thing, I can't get off my ass. Yep, okay, we don't have that yet, right? And so if they can't get off their ass, they're missing out on what is an entrepreneurial opportunity for them. Within a few weeks, the coins will be gone, as an example, but the proof will be there because all you guys will be talking about showing your numbers. They'll be able to see it within the leaderboard that we're working with some tech companies to see if we can accelerate the leaderboard. So all of that will be there, but the upside that you guys have won't. So you see you see what's going on here? It's just
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I guess whatever you guys decide is the right timeline, you know, I'm happy to leave that to you. That's above my pay grade. But at some point, I'm looking forward to when somebody says to me, like the question of, you know, what is the app called? That even if I deflect that question for the sake of time, I know, and like everybody that I bring on, they know what the answer to that is. And I want them to have that confidence, and some of them, just based on personality, will only get that.
The name of the app is it's movement.college. That's the name of the entire everything.
Sure. Okay.
This is going to be your challenges. I feel like maybe consistently every single of the 7 or 8 zone managers that came on and provided their words of wisdom, if I'm not mistaken, every single one of their words of wisdom was try to figure out how to focus the conversation, whether it's with others or in your own head, because if you don't, you will drive yourself crazy. Does that make sense? You just will. There's too many moving parts to this thing. And, you know, again, the example we like to use, if this is J&J, Johnson & Johnson, and this is a new baby shampoo division, and someone can't get their mind, but until I understand where the chemo products are sourced and if that guy in Colombia got his fair share or not, and what's the deal there, and how does he treat his wife and all that, if they can't get their brain out of that, they're going to be sitting there doing, guys, I'm not a salesperson, so I don't have that. But what I do have, having been CEO of companies for 33 years, is the following enactment of your not great salesperson. So when it's time to sell, it's like, well, let me see. What else is there I could possibly distract myself with? Fear of rejection, fear of whatever. I'm going to put the phone here. I'm going to put that, okay, I'm going to, time for lunch. Then I'm going to come back up. But so this is a focus game, right? We can answer questions and we can, chase our tails for as long as we want. But at the end of the day, the rubber hits the road when someone picks up the phone and starts contacting merchants. You guys know what I'm talking about. And if we're unable to turn off those other voices that say, until I know this and until I know that, listen, I've been doing this long enough to know that there's no end in that. The guy or gal that doesn't want to pick up the phone and get busy will come up to no end with such things. And there's a certain level in our own experience when we start to go, it's one of those situations. This is someone who can't focus. Got it. Okay. You know what? At some point I have to say, listen, I would love to answer more questions, but I really need to focus on supporting the people, the 20% that are getting 80% of the results. I can't tell you, I cannot harp on this enough times, guys. It's either, this is go time. This week will determine who's part of the 20% and who was here just to kind of see if something awesome happens and they didn't want to miss out. I hate this word that keeps coming up on the 5 p.m. calls, which is FOMO, right? People are like, I'm here for the FOMO. It's like, I didn't want to miss out. Well, unfortunately, FOMO gets you to come in and pay your $600 and jump in. That's really easy. It takes 10 seconds. I'm not sure FOMO makes you take off and build your business because there's more to building a business than just fear, right? So guys, I really hope you folks all hear what I'm saying and be part of that 20% because there's not going to be a lot of time or effort or energy put into the people who next week are still asking questions about the chemotherapy products that you guys have. How does that work? It's just, there's a point where you have to say enough is enough. That makes sense, folks. Sorry for harping on this too much. I really don't want to annoy anyone, but I'm just wanting to make sure as many of us get moving and not get left behind on that. All right, folks, I think we're out of time. If we're trying to do that hard stop, we're already 7 minutes. Maybe Mike can get to the point and stop talking so much and would be more on time next time. Thanks. Good tip, good advice. I'll take it to heart. I'd like to not have the last word. Anybody before we wrap up?
Go get them.
Yeah, have a great day, guys.
Provide some insight on what's constantly being brought up because I feel like it's coming a lot from the Vector crew. And I will say this, like if you work for Vector, like you're already used to, you have a badass in structure, well innovated, well planned, and well executed training for just about everything. And I will say I miss that, but I fully agree with what Mike is saying that we need to just get this thing done because after leaving Cutco, like I've been in several situations, like I'll give you an example. When I was put to run the state of Florida for a solar company, they brought me to Vegas. I didn't have a hotel. They fired the dude that was supposed to train me. And all I saw was literally one sales presentation. And I came back to Florida with that. And literally with that built an organization before it went south. So I think there's a certain part where you just got to step out of your comfort zone and start doing things and force yourself to have that trust and confidence. And once you start to see results, just like when we all made our first sale or sold our first homemaker or whatever, it'll come.
Yeah, Mike, can I add something before everyone leaves real quick?
Please do, Rigo.
Carlos. I know a lot of us come from Cutco and N2 is like 16 years old. And I started in N2 5 years ago. And when I started, everything was already set. I just had to follow the program and call people and that was pretty much it. And same thing with Cutco. I just had to read the manual and that was pretty much it. What we're doing right now is a startup and we don't really have programs that have been around for 15 years. But what Mike and Brian are doing, they're relying on our business skills that we've learned from Cutco and learned from N2 on how to run a business, how to start a business, how to go through ramp up, how to get it going, how to keep it sustainable. That's what we bring to the table. So, just believe in yourselves. Just know that, hey, you know how to run a business. That's why we reached out to you and recruited you for this. So just know, like, if you have a good idea, if you feel like you have an idea, make sure you bring it up, because this probably is a good idea. We're all learning at the same rate as you are. So that's what I have to say.
If I can just, I think that's a great point, Rigo. And if I can just tack onto that a little bit, because this is so much of a learning curve and all of us are kind of figuring a lot of this stuff out here together. I guess what I would just ask is that we all try and be, I think there's a difference between problem identifiers and solution finders. And if somebody's just running around saying, oh, I've identified a problem, neat, but what are we going to do about it? You know, I'd much rather have somebody say, hey, here's a question I had, I don't really know. Here's a couple of things that I thought about of how we may be able to address that, how we may be able to handle or prevent that. What are your thoughts? I guess I would just love to be able to see that type of approach versus just identifying a problem and assuming that somebody else has already figured out an answer to it. But we're all entrepreneurs as opposed to just filling in roles that are already well defined with this thing. So I think if we all kind of have that approach, that let's propose solutions and figure it out together. I would love to see that.
Fantastic, folks. And, you know, and one last thing on the script, just in case it didn't really occur to someone, the whole approach with this, giving you guys the domain and the email, like the UCLA Cares or whatever your school is, there's an implication that's being made there, and it's only these first 25 merchants. If you're not catching what that is, I think that may be causing you more heartache than you think. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, maybe someone else can explain it better. But you've got a chicken or egg thing you're trying to break so that you don't have to have 50 questions. And once you break it, the students' life is easy for them. And they already have their email address from the school, etc. You guys with me, or am I speaking in tongues?
Sounds good.
You guys get what I'm saying here? How would you approach these calls if you were part of a stronger part of the UCLA community? How would you approach it if you have something unique and almost a monopoly on the students? How would your demeanor be? Put that in your head before you make the call, and you'll see it go really, really smooth.
Yeah, just to add to that, one thing I was going to say earlier, but I didn't say it, was, you know, to Matt's question, like, what is the name of the app? The app's name is The Movement. The reason why we don't encourage you or tell you to say that when you're on the phone with merchants is because you're from UCLA. You have, you know, that's the point. You don't want to go down Pandora's box where they're going to ask, what does The Movement do? Well, it has cryptocurrency, it has all this stuff. Now you lost them and you just wasted an hour on the phone confusing the merchant. So that's why.
Currency, I heard that's bad. I heard, you know, I heard it's a scam. I heard this, I heard that. It's just, you lost it.
Another thing, keep in mind, you're calling businesses. These people don't have time to sit around and build rapport and all this. Like, you just got to get straight to it.
Exactly. So I have a feeling next call, we're going to have some of these leaders on this call. And by leaders, I mean all you folks. You're all leaders, helping everyone else see what you accomplished as you got that confidence. And you're not going to be listening to techie nerds here giving sales advice. So I cannot wait for that next call. All right, folks. Any last comments, folks, before we wrap up? I know you're going to do well at this. How do I know this? We just did it with a bunch of others, and they're doing so well with signing up merchants. So I know for a fact you guys are going to do amazing. All right, folks. So zone managers, by the way, there's the list in case you forgot what the folks for your, send us your first, second, and third choice. And any other thoughts or comments for the zone managers as we go into that call? All right, fantastic. So if you're not a zone manager, kindly just drop off the call and we'll start our zone manager call. Thank you, everybody.